keeps a lower profile. I've never used this function. You just spent $500,000. If any of y'all ever wondered how a prolapse butthole happens, here it is. Edit one in over my... Hey James, go grab them bolts for that.
Where are they at? 'Cause the bag was empty.
I think I set them on the welding bed. Either that or they're in the office. Now this was dumb. A little side note on the batteries. The ones that came from Manitou were trash. We replaced them, put some interstate batteries on here. Like a month later, one of them had no cranking amps. I mean, I got warranted, but still having to pull these big boys out and deal with all this jazz. Not what I want to do. This is a 24 volt system, so they're crossed over. The original batteries had a little clamp that would go in here to hold them down. These batteries are shaped just slightly different, so I can't quite get that clamp on there, but man, these batteries are 100 pounds. They're not moving. This panel here comes off. Here's your hydraulic tank. Pretty good access to all your sensors and whatnot. Your DEF tank, your diesel tank. Behind door number 1, that one, you can access this little hole right here. So your battery shut off is here. Like I mentioned, it is a 24 volt system. We found that out whenever it was dead one time, and then we've got these studs right here. So I was like, oh, sweet. They really thought about this. You don't have to pull this off to jump off the machine. Hooked it up, and the lights on my dually went off on the dash because could have fried the system. I think it had a little protection thing in there, but there's nowhere on here that says 24 volt, like even on the back of this door. It just says, hey, that's aux. So you got a 2660, or I think all the telehandlers from Manitou are 24 volt. You can jump off right there, but you got to have a 24 volt jump box, which we just ended up picking one up from Harbor Freight, and it's been awesome. You just spent $500,000 on a telehandler, and you may or may not know how to run it. I didn't know how to run it when I got it, so here's a little video on how to Manitou. I'm gonna try to give as much information as I can. I'm sure I'm gonna miss stuff. I'm gonna go over what I wish I knew day one. We'll just start at the front. James, I'll probably have you hop in the cab, help us run this thing. So we've got the CS 750. Couldn't find it for a second. Westech Woodcracker. It's pretty awesome. We've got, I mean, we've had some heavy wood in this thing, and it won't let go. Golly, I really want to put some jokes in here, like I should call it Jessica because I had family oriented. All right, go ahead, fire it up, spin it around like facing down, and most of the telehandlers, this is, I'd say the most popular is the Woodcracker. I don't have the exact dimensions, so I'm not gonna lie to you right now, but I want to say it's a 28-inch bar because we're able to cut about, I think, 25-inch stumps. So go ahead, open it up. So right now it's not here. This is the first thing that I did, the first mod. Right here's a nice flat surface, and there is a magnetic camera. It's wireless. Battery will last it pretty much a week, especially if you remember to turn it off. Putting a camera right here lets you see from about here to here. So it lets you get a good marry up every time. What you'll come to find out is if you're just touching on the bottom, not on, or sorry, if you're just touching on top, not the bottom, as you're cutting, it'll want to barber chair it and it'll pinch your bar in. And kind of same thing. You're almost better off being more married up on the bottom than on top to cut, because then it'll kind of open the cut. Your best bet is try to get it as close as possible, top and bottom right here, so it gets a good firm grip. It doesn't hurt having a spotter on the ground. Kind of see sometimes even with the camera, there's a lot, if it's a really brushy pick, a lot of leaves, you won't be able to see what the camera sees. Your next part is the saw itself. Go ahead and close it and rotate it over. All right, I'm gonna grab a wrench. Again, I'm gonna try to leave a link for everything that I use in the description. I get the bar and chains from Stahl's Sawmill Supply. Nope. That's just who I've used since day one and who I've stuck with. The prices ain't too bad. I know since I got the machine, tariffs have kind of changed stuff up. Heck, even the machines went up 20 grand in price. The bars are now around 100 bucks a piece. The chains, I think it's 50 bucks a loop. So it's actually cheaper than my steels are. 99 links on the loop. What I'm gonna show you now is how to grease this thing. So right here, we've got, I just keep a designated ratchet and wrench in the little toolbox back there. You can swing that loose, and then if you close this little valve all the way in, it's like a bunch of revolutions. Now that closes that off, and I'm gonna step back. Go ahead and run it. You run the saw, and then what that did is to close the valve and prevents it from coming back in all the way on, because what brings the bar back in is air pressure, which, by the way, right here, you pull this off, and when you buy this, it comes with like a bicycle pump, and there's a air valve. From what I believe, I haven't had to do it, but I've been told there's an air valve here, like a valve stem, and you put that on, you pump it up, and that builds the pressure up to suck it back in. I tell you what, we'll go ahead and grease this thing. Best thing you can do is get yourself one of these. Don't have to be Milwaukee, it's just we use their saws, so we stuck with them. But if you have to use a manual pump on this, you're gonna hate life. Right here, I'm not gonna spin the whole time. This thing, if it's empty, will take maybe 3 to 4 tubes of grease. Also, I use Schaeffer's Grease. I'll put my sales rep number right here. Prices that she gives, it's actually the same as if you were to go to buy the cheapest crap. You're paying pretty much the same price. It might be an extra $1 or $2 a tube if you compare it side by side, but it's a premium product. So right here is the grease fitting. That gauge right there, that bar, you watch slowly. All right, that's it for that tube. If you look, you can see where it's kind of clean, and that right there. So it basically had a tube's left of grease in it, and then this is what a tube of grease does. So it'd take every bit of 2 more tubes, and it'll come out to about right here is where it'll stop. And that's your gauge on how your grease is looking. Now, what you do, there's that valve, and you go and open it all the way up. And you see, once I crack it open, it's gonna start sucking back in. And you just go all the way out. Don't crank on it, one way or the other. Just get it to where it's tight. Fun little fact, the scrunch will also do what you need it to, because that's either 19 mil or 3/4, whichever flavor you prefer. Snug those up. Now rotate it up and down. Yeah. All right. There's that. Does my hair look good? Nope. All right. Now I'm gonna show you real quick on how to not necessarily change the bar, but let's say you threw a chain or your chain's dull and you gotta cut another one. If you look right here, probably best if I had gloves on, but I ain't trying to do all that right now. There's this little nut right here, right there. I think it's either a 7 or 8 millimeter socket, or might have to grab one. I don't feel like grabbing one, so I'm gonna just show you what to do anyway. If you don't over tighten this, you should be able to get it with a flathead, but you crack this loose, maybe a 1/4 turn, 1/2 turn, and what it does is it frees up the hydraulic pressure right here, because all this runs off of hydraulic pressure. So once that's cracked loose, this button right here, you'll be able to push it in. Right now it's hitting the wall, but what you do is you press that in, you lift up on the bar, and that will it will push it up to a detent where it can lock in. Then you can let go of the bar, and this pin will hold your bar in a position, and that'll retract it in about an inch or so, roughly. Then the chain will be loose enough. You take it off and put another one on. Once everything is, you'll kind of have to spin it onto the sprocket right here. But once everything's back on, you tighten this up, not super tight, just enough to where it's going to hold the pressure. And you can take the chain and pull it back. By pulling on the chain, it'll kind of create like a bow effect. It'll pull the bar up just enough to release this button, to release that detent, and then the bar will drop back. It's kind of spring loaded anyway. And then you make sure you step back. By the way, make sure that if you have an operator in there, most people just shut the machine off completely. If the machine is running, make sure it is not in the cutter function. I probably should have said that to begin with. But then what you would do, go ahead and run it 3 times. What happens when he's running it is it's tension in the chain. So you run it once, run it twice, it auto tensions your bar and your chain to a perfect setting. All right, cut her off. And see, I can't even pull that. It's at a perfect tightness right there. So that pretty much sums up your basic bar and chain sort of maintenance. You, of course, have your grease fittings all around this machine. On your worm gear drive for your slew bearing, you got 3 fittings here recommended. I just do 1 pump every 3 hours on there. Don't over grease. I mean, some say you can't over grease it. Here's the thing, if your machine is covered in grease, I think you're over greasing it. You're wasting material and I don't know, I don't like nasty, dirty equipment. So what we try to do is keep it greased. Some stuff is daily, some stuff is weekly. If it gets to be too much caked on, we'll go through and clean it every now and again. Here is your storage for your quick connect fittings. Here's your electrical connection. It's back behind this door. To disconnect the Woodcracker so you can attach your pallet forks, your crane jib, whatever it is that you want on here, you would take this off right here. Well, you'd pull that pin, pull that bar. There's a little storage space for that bar right here. Drop it down. It's got a little foot jack. Open this up, pull these pins, all these wires come down. This is in a hose only to protect the flimsy little wire that's right here. But there's your connections. This is just a blank that covers it. So if all you have is a sky hook on there and you're not using the electronic component, that's just a protector to keep moisture and stuff out of there. Once it's all hooked up, this goes in here. There is a door that goes here. Right now it's on the bed. I kind of got to straighten it up. I had a limb, smack it, bend it just a little bit, and then it sheared off. There's a bolt that goes right here, just like this, and it sheared it off. So we got to get that fixed up. But it did its job. It protected the hoses. Here's your male and female, and then you got your case drain right here. This has actually been repositioned because it was on this side. It was right here, and I broke this fitting 2 or 3 times before I finally got my forestry protection kit. This basically capped it, puts a T, runs this hose underneath to the other side, just relocates that plumbing there. The other part of the forestry kit, which, dang, this has already been kind of chewed up a little bit, but you got the wipers for the boom that got installed on all 3 boom sections. You got your camera housing, a little more protective cases on the other side. As I was saying earlier, you pull your male and female, they drop in there, your case drain hooks in here, and that electrical piece pops in here. So it's all sitting neat and tidy on here without getting snagged or dragging the ground or all that nasty stuff. So also, fun fact, Manitou is pretty much married to Woodcracker now. Like, if you get a Merlot or a Magni, you can get a Woodcracker for it. It's actually got a sticker. It's got a Manitou sticker on it. So it's not just, got all the good stuff that I can't read.
I can't read.
Also, I bought this on Amazon. It's not rated for a whole lot. I think 15,000 pounds, maybe even a little less. 13,800. The machine is rated for, I think, 13.2. So, and with the Woodcracker on here, really it's only gonna be good for 8. So I don't think we'll ever overload this before we flip the machine. That sums up the nose of it. We're gonna move to the front portion. Go ahead and do the auto outrigger out button. So you'll see them come out. On other machines, they'll go down from where they're at, but these have to come out and then down. I personally like the fact that the outrigger legs are always attached. You don't have to take them off the back and put a little pin in and all that. It's a lot faster to set up. That's your footprint. I believe it's 18 by 18. Then going up here to the front, the pin is pulled right now, but all right. Nice thing about it is, even if that hole is over here, you drop the pin in that little cone thing, it'll ride right up and drop in. That's mainly for your transport. When you get your machine, within the first probably 200 hours, I'd check it weekly for all the bolts and stuff on your motor, your swing motor and your hydraulic pumps. Just double check, because anything that's new, it's got a break-in period and things can loosen up, and if it's loose and it's torquing on it, it'll shear bolts left and right. A lot of your access is pretty easy, just a matter of Allen heads right here. These panels pop off. You got your hydraulic cooler right here in the front. Again, they tuck it away nice enough, but they keep it accessible enough to where if you have to get the stuff and work on it, it's not an act of Congress to try to get to everything. Moving around to the motor side, you've got a Yanmar, I believe it's 115. We're about due for our maintenance on this. We're at 250 hours. Got a little turbo on there. It's been a pretty good little motor. I like their design here. It's not the most accessible, but it's more accessible than a lot of the other ones that I've seen. For instance, to get in here and clean, like right now I'm about to do, get in here and clean all this stuff out from the compartment. You can bring a shop vac out, or you can just reach in here and make sure your radiator stays clean. A lot easier to get to than if I had to pull a panel off every time to get to all that. Your radiator here, there's your fuel filters, again, pretty easy to get to and inspect. There's a panel right here. If you look on the bottom, you pull, I think it's maybe 4 or 8 bolts. You pull that bottom access pan, drops down, and you've got super easy access to your oil filter, your oil drain right there on the side of the oil pan. Air box filter is right here. So these two little nuts, let's just call them knobby bolts. Pull these, you pull these off, and you got your air box in there. It does have little storage for little toolboxes or tool bags, whatever you want to put in there. It's got 2 of them here on the motor side. I like this design, that it pops up like a hood and everything is easy access, but there is one drawback that we found. We had an issue one time that it lost prime for whatever reason. The primer bulb is up here, obviously by the fuel filter. What had happened was we set this thing up on a job, outriggers were out, we put it in a position, the turret was turned. If you look right here, the moment you turn it just a little bit, the back portion of that swing turret is going to be right over this lid, so you weren't able to open it up. That can be an issue if you find yourself in that position. It'd be hard to access everything. I'm sure you can pull bolts and access it in a pinch, but what I would say is maybe don't anticipate a breakdown, and just don't break. Duh. Moving on back, we got some big meat Larry Hoovers on here. I've had people say like, oh, would you rather have the turf tires? Sure, maybe. I feel like we'd have to lay down mats no matter what. And these have done pretty good. We've been able to get out of some pretty soupy stuff. So I wouldn't really change the tires on this. Maybe turf tires would ride a little better on the road, but hey, I mean, at this point, its main priority is be able to get its 45,000 pound self out of a hole if it had to. Bringing it around back, again, more access panels you can pop off. Kind of hard to see right here, but if you crawl underneath it, it's pretty wide open. You get to your hydraulic pumps, your lot is pretty serviceable. Like, that's one thing that I'll say Manitou did right, is make it as accessible as possible. Even as much as, like, you got this fender right here. We had a Widowmaker break out of a tree, smacked the front fender and busted it loose. These are metal, they're not plastic, but it broke the metal on one of the clips. So what I'm gonna probably try to do today is just drill another hole, and because all it is a through bolt, it's not even threaded in here. So I just have to go an inch over, drill another hole, put it back on. But what I like about that is it's compartmentalized. So if you bust this, you don't have to replace the whole back clip or the whole side clip. I mean, you've got modular, I guess you'd call it, design here. Pretty good lights, LED lights, bright, super bright. That's us. Shout out Stevenson Crane. They when we bought it, they were like, hey, do you want to send us your logos and we'll put it on for you. I was like, oh, then I guess you spent $400,000, I guess. Yeah, it makes sense. Moving back around, here's the battery compartment with all your access right behind there. I've got a key in my pocket. So there is your studs, your battery studs. So you can jump it from right there. You don't have to pull this off to get to the batteries. You can jump it from right there if you have a 24-volt jump box. Dirty exhaust fluid. I don't know why that's still a thing. Come on, Trump. I thought we were getting past that. I want to say it's a 70-gallon tank. We've never been bone dry, but I have put 65 gallons in here, or 60 gallons in here, and it was showing at like 1/8 of a tank. So my guess would be 70 gallons, and depending on how much you let it idle and run and all that fun stuff and how far you drive it. If we're driving it to job sites, it might last a little less than a week, but if we're lowballing it everywhere, then this thing can last a good little bit. You got your cabin air filter right here. This is what I like that I haven't seen other people do, is a little storage container. You've also got your manual levers there for if you had to override. What we keep here, several tubes of grease. They sent this little box, pretty much everything you need to do stuff here, as far as like some basic repairs. All kinds of various wrenches, and I'd say $200-300 worth of tools. But we keep chains, a backup grease gun. This is where we keep the Milwaukee grease gun too. Here's an extra bar. We got one more bar in here. The others are in the shop. I like having all this right here with us because you don't have to keep a service truck or anything like that nearby. And it, I don't know, kind of completes it. Some of the other red ones that I've seen, the cab is so far forward and then it stops. There's nothing right there. And it looks like it's trying to do the Michael Jackson thing, like leaning forward. It does have a 2-piece door here. When you swing it open, it'll lock out. One thing that I don't like is you can't, like I've tried from out here, you cannot get that top door to unlock. You got to go inside the cab. Now you can do just the bottom part, and I guess that kind of makes up for it. When you come in case you forgot, they remind you that you bought a Manitou. They did that just for you. Anyway, that was ridiculous. Stepping in here, you can crank the machine with the door open, like so. But if you want any function, out of the machine, you've got to close this door right here, and that's where that unlock is, right back in there. Here is your controls. Recording from this angle. Here are your controls. Your left controller is going to be your auxiliary. So on the screen here, you've got your A, which your A is just blank. When you hit B, it pops up. C pops up another one. C is your cutter, B is your rotate, and then when you click again, just nothing. That is your just grab and open. So here we are in B. We're going to give it some gas, rotate it up. All right, now that it's done, so now we'll select A, and that just opens and closes. Again, you give it gas, and that's all that does. By the way, to select, you got two settings here. You got your eco, so when you're driving you want to have it set in that. It gives you the most miles per hour. And then when you select the forks, what it does now, if you look, I'm gonna open it up, not touch the gas, it auto revs up with the functions. Now it won't rev up when you go to swing because it wants to give you as smooth a process as possible there. And then you've got your cutter. I'm gonna angle it down. You can see that bar right there. Again, no gas, it automatically runs it out and retracts. When you flick it down, when you're set in your cutter or on C, flicking down drops that box. A lot of times it'll get caught on a branch, so that'll free it up. And then on C, running it forward just runs the saw. And again, B, you can rotate left or clockwise and counterclockwise. And then again, just to be redundant, open and close is just A. So that's your left joystick as far as the auxiliary functions go. Boom out, push forward on the stick, boom in, pull back on the stick. And then tilting left and right will swing your left and right. I know the Manitou has everything on one function or on one joystick, but personally, I don't know. Maybe I'm just used to it, but I kind of like having the two. Here is the boom up and boom down. That's this joystick, and then tilt up, tilt down. So here's this kind of your main functions here. You got your forward, reverse, and here's this guy. On the joystick here, you've got your suspension left and right. So if you look, we're tilting it, and that'll give you your level and what degree you're in. Really helpful when you're trying to make it down someone's driveway that's on an angle, so you're not like holding on to your seat. These little phone mounts have been awesome because no matter which phone you got, as long as you've got the Magsafe, it'll just attach. It's just a little shameless quick plug on Amazon. Again, I'll leave the link in the description. Here is the camera is charging right now, but this is the secondary screen. You've got a couple of cameras right now already. There's that one on the side, you got the one on top of the boom, there's the side one, and then if you were to click it in reverse, you got a backup camera that pops up. So plenty of cameras all the way around. Your mirrors, your left and right mirror, are auto adjust, or power adjust I should say. You've also got your lights. We keep them down right now, just it keeps a lower profile. Pretty good work lights, you got those. And then you got some in the back, so it illuminates your whole area around the boom, around the machine. And then it does have it pre-wired for lights on the boom. Just we don't keep them on there because most of the time we work during the day, and that's just more chance of you snagging them up and tearing them up. So we do have them, we don't keep them on there. You got your basic wipers, you got your upper wiper, and then you got your rear windshield wiper and your foldy boy across the front windshield. We need to get this tinted, but in the meantime, I did add the CB radio on, and if you look, you see a PA speaker. I put that on because we actually had a lady, we had a live load of 5,000 pounds in the claw, and a lady pulled up and drove under it and parked there. Now I can just pull it down and yell at her and tell her how goofy she's being. Other than that, you got your basic cup holder, I wish it did have more USB or 12 volt plug-ins. It does have how I normally communicate with the ground guys, but it does have a remote. I'm gonna do that separate on how to connect all that. This is the poor man's option, so it didn't come with the speakers, even though it looks like they have them. There's no radio built in. Here's your basic functions here. You got your hazards, we got some flashing lights up there, or strobe lights. Right here is from what I've seen, this button is just paired with other functions. You got your back, your settings. When you press your tool button, that'll light this up right here. This is how you change your attachment. So right now it's set on the Woodcracker. You can change it. Well, it's only reading Woodcracker. So if we were to disconnect it and manually scroll this wheel right here, that thing has wireless antenna that tells me that that's what it is. Sometimes if you find yourself in this position where it's cracking, like right now, LMI cut off, it won't let me do anything because it's not actually connected to it. You could override it and do whatever functions you need to, but just by using the joystick won't let you. So with this faint little orange yellow outline, just hit that, you'll hear a beep, and that's how it now knows it's connected and you're back in business. It's not loading my chart right now for some reason, but that's kind of beside the point. That right there, that button just locks out your joystick so you don't accidentally bump it. You do have a dead man switch, so your palm has to be right here. You can't just hold the tips. It won't, like if I just pull it back right here, it says dead man needs to be pressed. Do this, then you got your functions back. Same thing on that joystick. Again, forward, reverse. Here is your, I just leave it in auto park. That way when I'm driving and when it stops, it's not gonna roll. You do have your manual park button. You've got your auto gears. So if you select your auto, when you're going slow, it's gonna have you geared low. And once you get past 5 miles an hour, it'll automatically kick you into rabbit mode. I like to do it manually just because if you're trying to pull out in traffic and you're set in auto, it does take it a little while. It's kind of laggy to get up to speed. So I personally I hit that manually. You've got your auto outrigger down, so it revs it up and sets it down. That's just holding one button, and then that's auto up, so that does the opposite. Sucks it back in. Or you got your, let's just say you want to do just your back ones. So best way to look at this little joystick, out of the cab brings the outriggers out. There's the ones in the back, and then in brings them in. And this gives you a good readout of if you're on the tire or if the outrigger is down, and it shows you which ones are selected. And so again, outrigger out, in, and then up and down. Right now they can't go down because they're locked into position, but this is where they're at. You've got your all-wheel steer. You've got your rear lock, front wheel, like regular vehicle steer there. You've got your crab walk, and you've got the, I've never used this function, not really sure what that would be for, but I guess that would kind of help you really worm your way into a hole there. Not actually sure what that is, never used it. I believe that might be for the man basket. Maybe not, I'm lying. Someone who knows something, let me know. And again, not sure what that button does, but if you were to have, this locks you out from your tilt. You press it and see tilt disabled by button. Not sure what that button does, never had to use it. But if you had the tilting chair, that function would be here. These are my poverty buttons. So trying to think what else there is. Yeah, more poverty buttons up here. Vents to get as warm or cold as you want to. It does have an emergency open hatch right here. I just used it to run my CB antenna in here, but that closes up pretty good. Got a little bit of storage right here. I keep a spare key for the gas there. A little bit of storage there. A little bit of underseat storage for your manuals and stuff. Got to vacuum this thing out. But other than that, that's a pretty basic how-to. Mine came with the self-cleaning option. So yeah, I'm bougie like that. Okay.